What's up, guys? Thanks so much for checking in with us today. So we are continuing our trilogy of videos here talking about the Persian scenarios for SPQR, and this is the last one, of course, then. This is Earth and Water, so little quote there from like 300. So interesting scenario here. We've got a whole lot of city terrain as a suggestion, and then very sort of thin or slim deployment zone. So let's check it out. Both players have the same denarii as normal. Enemy player is going to be the defender, and then the Persian is going to be the attacker. Kind of makes sense there. Both players roll a dice. The highest player will get to go first. So again, the Persians aren't necessarily going first here. So that definitely adds some sort of a wrinkle on there from what we've seen lately, where the other side will go first, deploy first, and then you'll get to go first. So here, the highest rolling player will deploy first and then also get the first phase. So you definitely, depending on what side you're on, you might want to be going first here. So that being said, special rules. So the defending units receive a +1 bonus to all will to fight checks while they remain in their half of the table, whereas the Persian units also receive a +1 bonus to will to fight checks when they are in the enemy half of the table. So basically, both sides want to the defender wants to stay in his half, and the Persians want to get to the defender's half, which basically then will mean their bonuses will wash out. So interesting there. There's some arguments to be said for maybe as the defender keeping the Persians on their half of the table just so that they're not getting the bonuses, but of course you're not going to get yours either. So I'd say, like, if you're already sort of 1-to-1, sort of have better stats than the Persians, you might as well push out. You don't need necessarily that extra bonus. But if you're the Persians, certainly getting a bonus. There's no reason for you not to move up basically and get that bonus. So victory conditions, though: if there are no Persian units in the defender's half of the table at the end of the 8th turn, the defender will claim victory. So I like, again, that they actually put a turn limit on this, because again, attrition at some point will catch up with one side or the other. So 8 turns to basically keep a Persian unit on their half of the table, and as the defender, you just got to push them back out. So again, this will be an interesting test of matchups here, because the Persians certainly can have a wide variety of troops and can be very offensive, whereas like if this were like, let's say, like Sparta or something, or like a lot of the Greek units or armies or forces here, they can be very defensive, and would just be an interesting sort of set of contrast here as you play the scenario. So different things to be said. Cavalry will certainly get you around the board, but again, it's about being able to survive, and really, you don't necessarily need to push in so much right away, unless you can really kind of claim an overwhelming advantage as the Persians. But you do want to be able to set up your last couple of turns to really make a solid breakthrough, and maybe try and penetrate pretty deep into the enemy zone before you are potentially forced back or wiped out. So different things to consider there. Defender, so you basically want to move up to that midpoint and just form as much of a solid wall as you can so that nobody gets behind you, and then just kind of feel out the battle as far as the flow of things, and ideally, again, prevent Persians from poking holes in your line, and eventually, as it gets to the second half of the game, certainly push them off of your half of the table. And if you're already winning, just don't get overzealous and leave a gap for a unit to run through potentially, and then you'd have to go chase them down, so you might not catch up to them in time to wipe them out, and go with that. So so if I were the defender, I'd be right up on my midpoint line and just pushing the Persians back basically as much as I can. And again, if you have something like various flavors of Greek armies where you can form phalanx or Romans or something even, this could be pretty nasty, pretty tough for the Persians. But Persians can bring that quantity. They have such a diverse range of units, and still can bring some pain as well on the offensive side. So like I said, an interesting contrast in styles. What do you guys think? Have you played the scenario? Have you strictly played it Persians versus somebody else, or have you tried just 2 other groups entirely? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments, guys. Leave us a like if you could. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much again for checking us out, and you guys have a good one. We'll see you in the next one.